I've grown up absolutely loving watching Supersport racing. It's always been the closest, most competitive, craziest racing ever. The 600s that everyone absolutely thrashed were just incredible bits of kit. Back in the 2000s, you had your R6s, your CBR 600s, your ZX6s, your Triumph Daytonas. There was a whole host of Supersport machines, but recently, due to emissions, due to sales, they've fallen off a cliff. But thankfully, there is a resurgence. There is a new wave of Supersport bikes, and we have got two of the best here today. We've got Aprilia's RS660 and Yamaha's new R7. I spent a lot of time in my life riding sports bikes. I absolutely love them, and well, you yourself, you've actually got a Supersport bike.
Yeah, so similar to Carl, I've grown up as well loving watching superbikes, and especially like the Supersport category has been absolutely brilliant. And like Carl said, I've got a 2017 plate ZX6R, and I think for the road it's such a nice level of power and sportiness, and for the roads in the UK it's perfect. You don't need 200 plus horsepower to have a bit of fun. So when we put this test together, I knew we were going to be riding the RS660 and the new R7. I couldn't wait to see sort of how good they were and how either different they felt to traditional Supersport bike, if you like, and what the new generation sort of has to offer.
Let's start with the R7. £8,400, it is the cheapest of the two by a long shot. But it doesn't look cheap. You get quite a lot for your cash in terms of looks. It looks stunning, and it's just an R6 really, isn't it? From even when you get up close. It's based on an MT-07, so it's got the same engine, the same chassis, but it's had quite a few little changes, and it doesn't feel like an MT-07 at all. I can't believe how aggressive it is, having not ridden it for a few months.
No, not at all. Like you say, it's based on an MT-07, so a lot of people maybe haven't ridden it might think, oh, it's an MT-07 with fairings on, but it couldn't be further from the truth. So you jump on it and it feels exactly like a traditional Supersport bike. It's firm, it's got an aggressive riding style, that chassis feels really nice, and as Carl said, just look at it, it carries that R name from Yamaha perfectly. It just looks the part.
When I was on the launch, I spoke to like a lot of the Yamaha guys. They were saying like they use the same spring rates and stuff from the R6. Like that is not messing about. It feels like a Supersport bike. It's really small, and when we're sort of nailing it into corners, it's so precise. It feels quite hard. It feels quite stiffly sprung, like especially for someone in my weight. Yeah. But it's really, really precise. And to be honest, even though it's got that twin engine from the 07, I don't feel like it's a negative thing. It works really nicely, and it offers up ample amounts of power. So it's worth noting as well, this bike's got a few little additional Yamaha goodies on it. It's actually got the optional quick shifter, which is about 125 quid, and a little optional exhaust cover. But aside from that, it's completely standard, and it is an impressive bike for the money. At £8,400, all bikes are going up. When you're looking at 16 grand for a standard 1000, like that is a lot of bike, and it's half price of an S1000 RR, an R1, anything.
So yeah, you don't need to spend 20 plus grand on a all singing, all dancing superbike to have a bit of fun. Especially in the UK, the roads aren't that great, they're not that big, they're not that wide. You can never get a superbike's power down and use it to its full ability on the road. But something like the R7, with the power that it's got, how it delivers it, it's so much fun. And like you said, for 8,400 quid, it's a lot of bike for the money.
It is, but on the other hand, it's quite basic, isn't it? When you look at the dash, like the finish of it, on like the swing arm and stuff, it's still on the basic side of the spectrum, especially when you put it against this. This is Aprilia's RS660. It is more money. It is £10,300, so it's near enough 2 grand more than the R7, which is quite a lot when they're, well, it's a fifth of the price more. But for that, you get a lot of bike. It's got a lot more power. It packs 100 horsepower. It packs 67 newton meters of torque, and it's got a load of goodies on it. So it's got a Magneti Marelli ECU with cornering ABS, traction control, wheelie control. The R7 has none of that, no riding aids at all except for ABS. It's got switchable riding modes. It even has cruise control, which is, well, it's a really nice touch, isn't it? But the thing that's the most impressive for me about the Aprilia is the riding experience. Obviously you spent a lot of the day on the R7. What did you think when you jumped on that?
I really enjoyed the R7, and then when you turned up on that, the noise of it, the look of it, you could just tell it's a little bit more expensive, but you can see where that extra couple of grand has gone, as you said, all the rider aids and just a nice finish. It's finished really nicely. So it is a baby RSV4. It uses the front bank of the RSV4, and that character of the engine, jumping from the R7 to the RS660, it just goads you into wanting to go faster. And then that quick shifter and blipper as well, they're so smooth, it just makes it a joy to ride. And jumping from one to the other, back to back, is really good to see what the difference is. And the riding experience of the Aprilia just nipped it for me.
It's worth mentioning as well, I think the Aprilia is more comfortable straight away. The R7 has a real essence of R6 about it, and the R6 is not a comfortable bike. It is insanely capable of cornering, handling, but it's not the comfiest bike on the planet. The bars are slightly higher, you feel like you've got a bit more room, the tank's a bit wider, a bit bigger. I'd actually say the pegs and the reach are a bit lower as well, so if you wanted something that was a bit sort of roomier, the RS660's definitely got a bit more space, and with the cruise control and stuff, it's actually got quite a bit of usability that I wasn't expecting. I know a lot of people don't like this new generation of twins, but these two are a step up from, say, the new 650 that came before, that was, with all due respect, a bit of a shopping trolley. No offence if you got one. But I really like this style of bike now, whereas the old 600s, you had to really rev them and really ride them, didn't you? Like, how does this compare on the roads to your ZX6, which you've been out on at the weekend?
Yeah. So for starters, like you say, the engine, to get any sort of performance and the smile factor of it, you have to be right up high in the rev range in all the gears really to have a bit of fun on it. In comparison to these two, the R7 is a lot closer in terms of riding style, how stiff it is, the aggressiveness of it. But in terms of the fun factor of riding, you don't miss the horsepower that I've got extra in the Kawasaki. These two make less power, but because they're twins, there's got quite a bit of torque, and it's enjoyable throughout the whole rev range, and especially jumping on that RS660. The riding position is slightly different, like Kyle said, it's a bit more comfortable, it's a bit more sort of upright, and when you get that engine singing, it is just a joy to ride.
I had a cracking day absolutely ragging both of these, and I really enjoyed both of them. Which one would you take home? Don't forget you're spending your money as well.
For the fun factor, I'd have to say the Aprilia, but if you could fit that engine and those electronics in that chassis and that sort of riding style, that would be the best of both. But if it was my money, I'd have to go with the Aprilia.
The Aprilia's got a bit more about it. If you're just looking for something that you're really gonna sort of tackle corner in and tackle them hard rides, stick your levers on a Sunday afternoon and go out and absolutely nail it, the R7 is the one for the job, definitely. And you can spend a couple of grand on that and you could proper pimp it up. But yeah, the RS660's just got that little bit more usability. Sure, the mirrors are crap, and yeah, it's still a lot of money. It's a lot of bike. If we could fit that engine, their electronics and that chassis, then I think we'd be on to a winner. But there is a rumour that there is a bigger R coming, an R9. If they could put them electronics and that gorgeous CP3 motor in a chassis that is equivalent to that, then they can have my money right now.
So you're saying then, if you had to spend your money on one of these, that would steer you towards the R7?
I'm getting old now. I've got a thing for Italian bikes. I've had a couple of Panigales in my time. I still sway towards the RS660. If anything, just because of the cruise control. It's got that gorgeous dash, it's got a proper dash on it. It's just them really sharp Brembo brakes, and just little things like when you turn the electronics off, you can turn the ignition off and they stay off. They're both cracking bikes, but for me, the Aprilia just edges it. It's more money given, and money's tight at the moment, but yeah, I'm a big fan.
So we both sort of sway towards the Aprilia, but is that depending on what sort of riding you're doing? Would you have that just for the road? I mean,
I think on a track, I haven't ridden this on track yet. I've done quite a lot of road mileage on it, but I've ridden that on track and it is phenomenal. It literally feels like an R6. If I was going to do track days, I'd probably go for the R7 actually, thinking about it. Spend a couple of grand, get it set up properly, put a proper pipe on it, ECU, and that would be an absolute monster at places like Cadwell and Norton.
So if you do a bit of track riding and you like a bit of a spirited ride on a Sunday, the R7, you wouldn't want much more than that, to be honest.
I think overall, you're not going to be disappointed with either of these bikes. They are incredible. They are rekindling the Supersport name and they are not disappointing. I think both bikes do a brilliant job. They're both reasonably priced considering what you get, and I've had a bloody awesome day scratching around these.
Yeah.
So let's go and do some more miles.
Let's do it.
Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be throwing out loads of tests and reviews, and let us know what else you'd like to see us ride as well.